The lunch rush at Golden Dragon had finally died down, and Lily Park wiped her forehead with the back of her hand. She'd been helping at her parents' restaurant since she was tall enough to see over the counter, but today had been particularly busy. New Orleans in summer was always hectic, tourists flooding the city for its food, culture, and most importantly, the music. "Lily, you're still coming to help with dinner service, right?" Her mother called from the kitchen, her voice carrying that familiar tone of expectation. "Actually, Mom, I was hoping to skip tonight. The Blue Note is having an open jam session and I wanted to." Her mother appeared in the doorway, dish towel in hand. "Again with a trumpet?" "Lily, we've talked about this." The conversation was so familiar that Lily could recite it by heart. How music wasn't a stable career. How she'd already tried that path and it hadn't worked out. How the restaurant needed her. "Just tonight," Lily pleaded. "I haven't played with anyone in weeks." Her mother's expression softened slightly. Despite her practical concerns, she had never been able to deny her daughter's passion completely. "Back by midnight. And take the leftovers to your father on your way out. He's doing inventory." Lily grabbed the container of food and headed to the storage room where her father was counting bottles of soy sauce. At 36, Jack Park still moved with the precise efficiency of someone who had built a business from nothing after immigrating 20 years ago. "Dinner," Lily said, placing the container on a shelf. Her father glanced up from his clipboard. "You going out tonight?" "Blue Note, open jam," he nodded. Unlike her mother, he rarely argued about her music anymore. After Lily had dropped out of the prestigious Westridge Conservatory 3 years ago, coming home with her trumpet and shattered dreams, her father had simply cleared space in the storage room. The next day she'd found a small dehumidifier installed there, to protect your instrument, he'd said. It became her practice space between lunch and dinner shifts after closing, whenever she could steal away. "Don't stay out too late," was all he said now, returning to his inventory. The Blue Note wasn't really blue, nor was it particularly noteworthy among the dozens of jazz clubs dotting the French Quarter. But to Lily it was sanctuary, small enough to feel intimate, large enough to accommodate decent crowds, and most importantly, run by people who recognized talent when they heard it. "Well, look who's back," grinned Thomas, the elderly bartender who'd been working there since before Lily was born. "Was beginning to think you'd given up on us." "Just busy at the restaurant," Lily replied, carefully taking her trumpet case from her backpack. The case was worn at the edges, a graduation gift from her parents when they still believed music school would lead to a bright future. The jam session was already underway. A bassist, drummer, and piano player working through a standard. Lily listened, fingers instinctively moving through the fingering patterns as she waited for her chance. When there was a break, she approached the small stage, nodding to the musicians she recognized. Most were regulars, local players who made modest livings through gigs, teaching, and whatever else paid the bills. "Hey, Lily's here," the drummer announced. "Let's do Autumn Leaves." They launched into the jazz standard, and Lily closed her eyes as she always did before joining in. Her first notes were tentative, they always were now. Ever since the conservatory, since Professor Hammond had told her in front of the entire class that she fundamentally lacked the fire needed for true artistry, Lily always began cautiously. But then, as always happened when the music was right, she forgot to be afraid. Her tone opened up, her improvisation growing more daring. She took the melody places that seemed to surprise even her, building to a series of high notes that made a few patrons look up from their drinks. When they finished the tune, there was genuine applause, not just the polite acknowledgement typically given to amateur night participants. Lily felt the familiar rush, the only thing that made her feel truly alive these days. "Another," called someone from the audience, and they moved into a blues progression. 4 songs in, Lily noticed a stir near the entrance. Even in the dim lighting, she could make out a group of people being led to a reserved table in the corner, unusual for the Blue Note on a weeknight. One figure stood out, a tall man wearing a distinctive hat that Lily immediately recognized. Her heart nearly stopped mid-phrase. Raymond Ray Jones. Not just any trumpet player, but the trumpet player of their generation, winner of 11 Grammy Awards. The artist who had single-handedly made jazz relevant to young people again, with his fusion of traditional techniques and contemporary sounds. The musician whose albums Lily had worn out learning every solo, every nuance, and he was watching her play. Lily's next note cracked embarrassingly. She recovered quickly but felt her confidence draining. The rest of her solo was competent but safe. None of the risks she'd been taking moments before. When the set ended, Lily quickly stepped off the stage, planning to retreat to the bathroom until Ray Jones and his entourage left. But Thomas caught her arm. "Someone wants to meet you," he said, eyes twinkling. "No, I can't. I need a minute." But Thomas was already guiding her toward the corner table. Ray Jones looked up as they approached, his expression unreadable behind designer glasses. "This is her," Thomas said proudly. "Lily Park, best young horn player in the quarter, if you ask me." Ray Jones studied her for a long moment. "You've got an interesting sound," he said finally. His voice was deeper than Lily had expected. "Raw, but interesting." "Thank you, Mr. Jones," Lily managed, clutching her trumpet like a shield. "That means a lot coming from you." "Ray," he corrected. "Sit down." It wasn't really a request. Lily sat, acutely aware of her waitress uniform, still faintly smelling of the lunch service. "How long have you been playing?" he asked. "Since I was 9, so 13 years. You study somewhere?" The dreaded question. "Westridge Conservatory." For a while, recognition flickered in his eyes. Westridge was well known. Its reputation for excellence matched only by its cutthroat competitiveness. But not anymore? No. Family business needed me. It was easier than explaining the truth. Ray took a sip of his drink. "You've got good instincts. Technical skills need work. Your upper register control is inconsistent, but you've got something most of those conservatory robots don't have." "What's that?" Lily asked, unable to hide her curiosity. "You play like you've got something to say." He leaned forward, "Like you're hungry." Before Lily could respond, someone at the table showed Ray something on a phone. He glanced at it, then back at Lily. "I'm playing the Heritage Festival this weekend. Main stage Saturday night," Lily nodded. Everyone knew that. It was the biggest jazz event of the year, drawing thousands of visitors to the city. "I do this thing sometimes," Ray continued, a slight smile forming. "Sort of a tradition. I invite local players to join me for a song or two. Keeps me connected to the cities I play in." Lily's heart began racing. Was he suggesting? "But this year," Ray said, his smile growing more challenging, "I'm thinking of something different." "A duel. A duel?" Lily repeated. "You and me. Trading 4s, then 2s, then 1-bar exchanges. Old school cutting contest." He raised an eyebrow. "Think you can handle that?" The table had gone quiet. Even the nearby patrons seemed to be listening. I don't. She'll do it," Thomas interrupted from behind her. Ray's friend was already filming with his phone. "This'll be great for social," he said. "The master versus the unknown. David and Goliath with trumpets, so what do you say?" Ray pressed, ignoring his friend. "Saturday night. In front of 5,000 people. You and me." Every instinct told Lily to decline. She wasn't ready. She'd embarrass herself. Her parents would be furious. But something in Ray's expression bothered her. A hint of amusement, as if he already knew she'd say no. As if this was just an entertaining diversion for him, challenging random local musicians who'd inevitably back down. "What time?" she heard herself ask. Ray's eyebrows shot up in genuine surprise. Then he laughed. 9 o'clock. Main stage. Don't be late." He pulled out a business card and scribbled something on the back. "Give this to security. They'll let you backstage." As if in a dream, Lily took the card. Ray's friend was still filming. "This is gonna blow up online," he said excitedly. "The famous Ray Jones challenging an unknown waitress to a trumpet battle. I'm posting this tonight." Ray stood, signaling the end of the conversation. "Practice hard," he told Lily, not unkindly. "I don't plan to take it easy on you." Then he was gone, his entourage following behind, leaving Lily holding his card and wondering what she'd just agreed to. Her phone buzzed almost immediately with a text from her mother. "Where are you?" "It's after midnight." Reality came crashing back. Lily grabbed her trumpet case and rushed out, nodding goodbye to Thomas, who gave her a thumbs up. Outside in the warm night air, she paused, looking at Ray's card under the streetlight. On the back he'd written, "Backstage pass for Lily Park, Trumpet Duel." In 3 days she would be on stage with her idol, and the entire city would be watching. The thought was terrifying, exhilarating, impossible. Her phone buzzed again. "Lily?" With a deep breath, she tucked the card carefully into her pocket and headed home, wondering how on earth she was going to tell her parents. that the stable restaurant career they'd finally convinced her to accept had just been derailed by a trumpet challenge that was about to go viral. Lily stood frozen, outside her parents' restaurant, staring at her phone. The video had over 50,000 views already, and it had only been uploaded 3 hours ago. Comments were flooding in by the second. OMG, Ray Jones in a trumpet battle with a waitress? Who is this girl? She's about to get destroyed, LOL. Respect to her for accepting, though Lily's thumb hovered over the play button, but she couldn't bring herself to watch it again. Once had been enough. Seeing herself looking stunned and small next to Ray Jones, the nervous way she'd said, "What time?" That made her sound like a frightened child rather than a confident musician. "Lily, what are you doing out here?" Her father appeared in the doorway, wiping his hands on a kitchen towel. "Your mother's been calling you." Lily quickly pocketed her phone. "Sorry, I was just getting some air." Her father's eyes narrowed slightly. He'd always been able to tell when she was hiding something. "Everything okay?" "Yeah, fine," she said too quickly. "Just tired." How could she tell them? They'd finally stopped fighting her about music. Had finally accepted that their daughter would take over the family restaurant someday instead of chasing impossible dreams. The fragile peace that had settled over their home would shatter the moment they saw that video. But they would see it. Someone would show them. In their tight-knit community, it was only a matter of time. Her father was still watching her, waiting. Lily took a deep breath. "Dad, something happened last night at the Blue Note." 10 minutes later, the Park family sat around a table in the empty restaurant, staring at the video playing on Lily's phone. Her mother's face grew increasingly stony while her father remained unreadable. When it ended, the silence stretched uncomfortably. 5,000 people? Her mother finally said. "This Saturday?" "Lily, this is crazy. You can't do this." "Mom, no, listen to me. This man is making fun of you, using you for publicity. Do you think he really expects you to show up? It's a joke to him." The words stung because they echoed Lily's own doubts. Why would Ray Jones, who'd played with legends who filled concert halls worldwide, genuinely want to duel with her? "It doesn't matter why he asked," Lily said, surprising herself with her steadiness. "I accepted." "Well, unaccept." Her mother threw up her hands. "Call him and say you made a mistake." "I can't do that. The video's everywhere. If I back out now..." Lily trailed off, imagining the comments. Another wannabe who couldn't handle the pressure. Knew she'd chicken out. Her father, who had remained silent throughout, finally spoke. "What song will you play?" Both Lily and her mother turned to him in surprise. "Jack," her mother exclaimed. "Don't encourage this." But her father kept his eyes on Lily. In a cutting contest, song choice matters. You need something that plays to your strengths, not his. Lily blinked back sudden tears. Of course her father would know about cutting contests. Before the restaurant, before immigration, he'd been a saxophonist in Seoul. Not famous, but good enough to play regular gigs. He rarely spoke about that life now. I haven't thought about it yet," she admitted. Her father nodded thoughtfully. "You should. And you'll need to practice. More than usual." "Jack, we're short-staffed already," her mother protested. "The weekend rush, we'll manage," he said simply. "Lily needs to be ready." Her mother looked between them, then stood abruptly. "This is a mistake," she said, but her voice had lost some of its conviction. She disappeared into the kitchen. Lily looked at her father gratefully. "Thank you," he shrugged. "Don't thank me yet. You have a lot of work to do." He got up to follow his wife, then paused. "Lily." "Yes?" "Make sure you're doing this for the right reasons. Not just because you're afraid to say no." After her parents went upstairs to their apartment, Lily sat alone in the darkened restaurant. Her father's question echoed in her mind. Why was she doing this? Her phone buzzed with another notification. A text from Thomas at the Blue Note. "The whole city's talking about you, kid. Better come prepared on Saturday." The whole city. Lily felt sick. She unlocked her phone and forced herself to read more comments on the video. "Isn't that the girl who dropped out of Westridge? My cousin went there with her. I heard Hammond failed her out of his class. Said she didn't have what it takes. Ray's gonna embarrass her so bad." Lily closed the app, her heart pounding. It was happening again. The same public scrutiny, the same whispers. Just like at Westridge when Professor Hammond had made an example of her in front of everyone. "Miss Park demonstrates the difference between technical proficiency and artistry," he'd said that terrible day. "One can hit all the right notes and still say absolutely nothing of interest." The humiliation had been unbearable. She'd dropped out the next week, and now here she was about to put herself on an even bigger stage, inviting even greater potential for humiliation. Lily's hands shook as she opened her trumpet case. The brass instrument gleamed under the dim lights, both comforting and terrifying in its potential. She lifted it, feeling its familiar weight. Why was she doing this? The answer came slowly, rising from somewhere deep within her. Because she needed to know if Hammond was right. If she truly had nothing to say. If the fire that had once burned so brightly inside her, the one that had made her practice until her lips bled as a teenager, that had won her a scholarship to Westridge in the first place, was completely extinguished. She raised the trumpet to her lips and began to play softly, a melancholy melody that reflected her swirling emotions. The next morning, Lily's phone rang at 5 a.m. Groggy, she answered without checking who was calling. "Hello? Lily? It's Thomas from the Blue Note." She sat up, instantly alert. "What's wrong?" "Nothing's wrong. But there's someone here who wants to talk to you." "Now?" "The club's closed. He's persistent. Says he can help you prepare for Saturday." Lily frowned. "Who is it?" There was a shuffling sound. Then a new voice came on the line. Gravelly, aged, with a hint of impatience. "Girl, you got yourself in a situation here." Lily nearly dropped her phone. "Mr. Rivera?" "Victor Rivera. 78 years old and one of the last living links to the golden age of jazz. He'd played with everyone from Miles Davis to Dizzy Gillespie before retiring from public performance a decade ago. These days he was something of a recluse, occasionally teaching a select few students who managed to find their way to him. Thomas says you got challenged by Ray Jones," Mr. Rivera continued. "That true?" "Yes, sir. This Saturday." The sound was neither approving nor disapproving. "You got somewhere to practice? Somewhere private?" Lily thought of the restaurant storage room. "Sort of. Not good enough. You come to my place. Bring your horn. Now? You got something better to do at 5 in the morning? Address is 1423 Fern Street. Don't ring the bell. I'll be watching for you." The line went dead before Lily could respond. Heart racing, she dressed quickly and scribbled a note for her parents. Then she grabbed her trumpet and slipped out, catching the first streetcar of the morning. Mr. Rivera's house was in an older part of town, a modest shotgun home with peeling paint but an immaculately kept garden. As promised, the door opened before she could knock. "You're late," he said by way of greeting, though Lily had made it there in record time. "Sorry, Mr. Rivera." He looked her up and down critically. He was shorter than she'd imagined, with a crown of white hair and eyes that missed nothing. "You hungry?" The question caught her off guard. No, I'm lying. Come on, I made coffee." She followed him through the narrow house to a kitchen that smelled of coffee and cinnamon. He gestured to a chair and placed a mug and plate of toast in front of her. "Eat, then we talk." Lily obediently took a bite, suddenly realizing she was, in fact, starving. "Mr. Rivera, I appreciate this, but why am I helping you?" He sat across from her. "Good question. Could be I'm bored. Could be I don't like seeing young talent get humiliated for entertainment. Could be I've got history with Ray Jones." Lily nearly choked on her toast. "You know Ray Jones?" "Taught him for 2 years when he was just starting out, before he got too big for his britches." "I didn't know that." "There's a lot you don't know, which is the problem." Mr. Rivera sipped his coffee. "I was at the Blue Note last night. Heard you play before Ray showed up." Lily tensed, waiting for judgment. "You got good tone. Nice ideas. But you're scared." He set down his mug firmly. "And scared is the last thing you can be on Saturday." "I'm not scared," Lily protested weakly. Mr. Rivera gave her a look that said he wasn't buying it. "Let me tell you something about cutting contests. They ain't about who plays the most notes or the highest notes. They're conversations, arguments. You gotta listen, then respond. Make your case. That's where most young players fail. They're so busy thinking about what they're gonna play next, they don't really hear what the other person is saying." He stood up. "Finish eating. Then we work." The work turned out to be brutal. For the next 3 hours, Mr. Rivera drilled Lily on fundamentals she thought she'd mastered years ago. Breathing exercises, long tones, scales and patterns she'd never encountered. "Again," he'd say whenever she made the slightest mistake. "Again." By 8 o'clock, Lily's lips were numb and her arms ached from holding her trumpet. Mr. Rivera finally called a break. "You've got bad habits," he said bluntly. "Tension in your shoulders. You stop breathing when you hit high notes. And you're thinking too much," Lily winced. It was the same criticism Hammond had given her, though less elegantly phrased. "But," Mr. Rivera continued, surprising her, "you got heart. And you got stories to tell if you'd get out of your own way." He stood and went to an old cabinet, pulling out a record, actual vinyl, and placing it on a turntable Lily hadn't noticed before. "Listen," he commanded, lowering the needle. The music that filled the room was unlike anything Lily had heard before. Two trumpet players, trading phrases back and forth, each responding to the other's ideas, building on them, challenging them, sometimes mocking them. It wasn't polished like modern recordings. There were occasional flubbed notes, moments where the rhythm section dragged slightly, but it was alive in a way that made Lily's heart race. "Roy Eldridge and Dizzy Gillespie, 1954, Mr. Rivera said. "A real cutting contest. Not this staged nonsense they do now." He looked at Lily intently. "You hear what they're doing?" Lily nodded slowly. "They're talking to each other." "Exactly." Mr. Rivera smiled for the first time, revealing a gold tooth. "Now you're getting it." Lily left Mr. Rivera's house at noon with a promise to return the next day at the same time. Her mind was buzzing with everything she'd learned, everything she still needed to practice. As she walked toward the streetcar stop, her phone rang. It was her mother. "Where are you?" "We have lunch service starting in an hour." Reality crashed back. "I'm sorry, I was practicing and lost track of time. I'll be there soon." There was a pause. Then her mother said in a softer voice, "Your father says to tell you that he spoke with some of our regular customers. They're coming Saturday night to see you play." Lily stopped walking. "Really?" "Yes, Mr. Chen from the grocery is closing early. The Wongs are bringing their whole family." Another pause. "I've asked my cousin to help with the restaurant Saturday, so we can come too." Tears sprang to Lily's eyes. "Mom, don't get emotional. You still have to work lunch service today." Lily smiled through her tears. "I'm on my way." As she hung up, another notification appeared on her screen. The video now had over 200,000 views. But for the first time since this whole thing began, Lily felt a flutter of something other than terror. Maybe, just maybe, she could do this. The next 3 days blurred together for Lily. She fell into a grueling routine. Pre-dawn sessions with Mr. Rivera, lunch service at the restaurant, a few hours of solo practice in the storage room, dinner service, then late-night listening sessions where Mr. Rivera made her analyze classic recordings until her ears hurt. Again, he would say, lifting the needle on his ancient record player and placing it back at the beginning of a trumpet solo. "Tell me what he's doing there." By Friday morning, her last full day of practice before the duel, Lily was exhausted. Her lips were chapped, her shoulders ached, and a persistent headache throbbed behind her eyes. Still, she dragged herself to Mr. Rivera's house at 5 a.m. as promised. He opened the door and took one look at her. "You look terrible." "Thanks," Lily mumbled. Mr. Rivera shook his head. "Go home." "What?" "No, I need to practice. The duel is tomorrow. You need rest more than practice now. Your embouchure is shot. Your brain is fried." He pointed at her trumpet case. "Don't even open that today. Go sleep, eat good food. Watch a movie. Anything but think about trumpet, but no buts. 24 hours away from the horn. Doctor's orders." When Lily hesitated, he added more gently, "Trust me, kid. I've been doing this longer than your parents have been alive." Reluctantly, Lily nodded. "Okay, no trumpet today. Good. Now go. I'll see you backstage tomorrow. You're coming?" Mr. Rivera's expression softened slightly. "Wouldn't miss it." As Lily turned to leave, he called after her. "One more thing. What are you wearing tomorrow?" She looked down at her jeans and t-shirt. "I don't know. Something like this." Mr. Rivera made a disapproving noise. "This ain't just about music. It's theater. Presentation matters." "I don't have anything fancy," Lily protested. "Talk to your mother," Mr. Rivera said cryptically. "Now go. Rest." Back at home, Lily found her mother in the kitchen prepping vegetables for the day's service. "You're back early," her mother observed. "Everything okay?" "Mr. Rivera says I need rest." "No trumpet today," her mother nodded approvingly. "He's right. You look exhausted." She paused her chopping. Are you hungry? I can make you breakfast. The offer surprised Lily. Her mother hadn't cooked specifically for her in years, not since Lily had become old enough to work in the restaurant and was expected to eat whatever was prepared. For the staff meals, that would be nice. Thanks, Mom. As her mother bustled around the kitchen, Lily remembered Mr. Rivera's advice. Mom, Mr. Rivera mentioned something about what I should wear tomorrow. For the duel, her mother glanced over. What about it? He said it's not just about the music. That presentation matters, Lily shrugged. But I don't have anything special to wear. Her mother was quiet for a moment, then said, I might have something. Finish your breakfast first. After eating, Lily followed her mother upstairs to the small apartment above the restaurant. Her mother disappeared into the bedroom and returned with a garment bag that looked like it hadn't been opened in years. I brought this from Korea, she explained, laying it carefully on the couch. I always thought... She trailed off, then shook her head. Never mind. Let's see if it fits you. She unzipped the bag to reveal a stunning traditional Korean hanbok in deep blue silk with delicate red and gold embroidery. Lily gasped. Mom, it's beautiful. It was my performance dress, her mother said quietly. Your what? Her mother smoothed the fabric gently. Before I met your father, before the restaurant, I was a singer. Nothing famous, just local performances, weddings, some small television appearances. Lily stared at her mother in shock. In all her 22 years, she had never known this about her mother. Her father's musical past had been acknowledged, if rarely discussed, but her mother had always presented herself as practical, business-minded, with no patience for artistic pursuits. You never told me. Her mother shrugged. It was another life. A young girl's dream. Did you give it up because of me? No. Her mother's response was firm. I gave it up because we needed stability when we came to America. Your father had to give up his music too. It was a choice we made together. She looked at Lily directly. But it doesn't mean we didn't sometimes miss it. The admission hung in the air between them, reshaping everything Lily thought she knew about her parents, their expectations, their resistance to her musical ambitions. Try it on, her mother urged. Changing the subject, the handbag fit perfectly. Lily stared at her reflection in the bedroom mirror, hardly recognizing herself. The elegant lines of the traditional dress transformed her, making her stand taller. Beautiful, her mother said softly, but something's missing. She disappeared again and returned with a small box, from which she took a delicate hairpin with dangling ornaments that made a gentle tinkling sound when they moved. This was my mother's, she explained, carefully sliding it into Lily's hair. There, now you're ready. Lily blinked back tears. Thank you. Her mother nodded, her own eyes suspiciously bright. Now rest. Big day tomorrow. Despite Mr. Rivera's orders to relax, Lily found herself too keyed up to nap. Instead, she walked to the park a few blocks from the restaurant and sat watching children play, trying to quiet the nervous energy building inside her. Her phone buzzed with a text from Thomas at the Blue Note. Festival grounds are crazy. Your face is on the Jumbotron in the promo videos. No pressure. Another buzz. An email notification from Westridge Conservatory's alumni newsletter. The subject line made her stomach drop. Alumna Lily Park to face off against Ray Jones in unprecedented trumpet duel. Even her old school was talking about it. Lily could just imagine Professor Hammond's reaction, probably telling his current students about his former failure of a student making a spectacle of herself. A third buzz. An unknown number. The text simply read, Looking forward to tomorrow. Bring your A game. R.J. Ray Jones himself. Lily's hand shook as she stared at the message. Should she respond? What would she even say? After several attempts, she simply wrote back, I will. By evening, Lily's nerves had reached a fever pitch. She paced her small bedroom, imagining every possible scenario for tomorrow night. What if she froze on stage? What if her mind went blank? What if her lip gave out? What if the crowd booed? A soft knock interrupted her spiraling thoughts. Her father stood in the doorway. Can't sleep? He asked. Lily shook her head. He came in and sat on the edge of her bed. I brought you something. He held out a small velvet pouch, curious. Lily opened it and pulled out a reed. A saxophone reed. Old and obviously well used. This was my lucky reed, her father explained. From my last performance in Seoul before we came here. Lily turned it over in her fingers. You kept it all these years? To remind me. He smiled slightly. Not of what I lost, but of what I had. The joy of it. Mrs. Wong, who had been coming to the restaurant every Sunday for as long as Lily could remember, pressed a small jade charm into her palm. For luck, she whispered. Thomas grinned. Half the Blue Note is here. We've got a bet going on how many high C's you'll hit. Lily felt tears threatening. These people, this community that had watched her grow up, that had sustained her family's business, that had heard her play in small venues for years, they had all come to support her. Thank you, she managed. All of you. You better get back, her father said, checking his watch. It's almost time. Her mother surprised her with a fierce hug. Show them who you are, she whispered. Backstage was chaos now. Ray's band was preparing to go on, checking instruments, running through last-minute adjustments. The crowd noise had swelled to a constant roar as the festival's main event approached. Mr. Rivera found her by the stage entrance. There you are. Come, we should get you in position. As they walked, he casually mentioned, I ran into Ray's manager. Apparently, this little duel has generated quite a buzz. They've added a video crew to capture it for Ray's upcoming documentary. What? Lily stopped short. A documentary? No one told me about that. Would it have changed your mind? Maybe. I don't know. Mr. Rivera studied her. You nervous? Terrified, Lily admitted. Good, use it. Channel it into your playing. A thunderous cheer erupted as the stage lights dimmed, then strobed dramatically. Ray's band took the stage one by one, each introduction generating more applause. And now, the announcer's voice boomed, the moment you've all been waiting for. 11-time Grammy winner. The revolution in modern jazz, Ray Jones. The crowd went wild as Ray bounded onto the stage, trumpet raised high. He launched immediately into one of his hit songs, a driving, infectious tune that had the audience jumping from the first note. Lily watched from the wings, mesmerized despite her nervousness. Ray was a masterful performer, not just technically brilliant, but charismatic, engaging, drawing energy from the crowd and giving it back tenfold. His band was tight, responsive, building dynamic peaks and valleys that kept the audience enthralled. For the next 45 minutes, Ray led his group through a selection of his most popular compositions. Lily found herself nodding along, tapping her foot, occasionally marveling at a particularly inventive phrase or stunning high note. Then, as a slinky, bluesy number wound down, Ray stepped to the microphone. You all having a good time? He called out, answered by enthusiastic cheers. Now, some of you might have seen a little video that went around this week. The crowd noise swelled as people realized what was coming. That's right, Ray continued, grinning. We've got something special tonight. A few days ago, I was in a little club here in town and I heard this young lady play. Something about her sound caught my attention, something real, something honest. Lily almost laughed at this revisionist history. Their actual encounter had been nothing like that. So I issued a challenge, an old-school cutting contest, a trumpet duel. And unlike a lot of folks who talk big, she actually showed up. He scanned the wings and spotted her. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome to the stage Lily Park. The stage manager gave her a gentle push. That's you, go. Lily's legs felt like jelly as she walked onto the stage, the handbox silk rustling with each step. The lights were blinding, turning the audience into a dark, roaring mass. 5,000 faces she couldn't see but could feel watching her. Ray gestured for her to join him at center stage, smiling for the cameras that were indeed filming their every move. Looking good, he said into the microphone, nodding at her traditional dress. Feeling ready? Lily leaned toward the mic. As ready as I'll ever be. The audience laughed, appreciating her honesty. All right then. We're going to play a standard. Autumn Leaves. We'll each take a chorus, then start trading fours, then twos, then ones. Let's see who's left standing at the end. He turned to his band. B-flat minor medium swing. The pianist played a lush introduction, setting up the melancholy mood of the classic tune. Ray nodded to Lily. Ladies first. Lily hadn't expected to start. She quickly raised her trumpet and began playing the familiar melody, trying to ignore the sea of people before her, the cameras, the expectations. Her first few notes were tentative, slightly sharp from nerves, but as the band supported her, she found her footing. By the second 8 bars, something shifted. The melody of Autumn Leaves was like an old friend, comfortable and welcoming. Lily leaned into it, adding small embellishments, playing with the rhythm just enough to make it her own. She caught a flicker of surprise on Ray's face. He'd expected her to choke, she realized. He'd expected a terrified amateur, not someone with ideas and the ability to execute them. As her chorus ended, Ray stepped forward for his turn. His playing was immaculate, clean, powerful, with flawless technique and bold creative choices. He took the melody apart and reassembled it in ways Lily had never imagined, throwing in quotes from other songs, using the full range of his instrument effortlessly. It was intimidating, but also inspiring. Lily found herself smiling as she listened, genuinely appreciating his artistry. Then it was time for trading fours. 4 bars for her, 4 for him, back and forth through the chord changes. This was what Mr. Rivera had prepared her for. Ray started with a blistering run of 16th notes, ending with a high note that made the audience gasp. Lily's response was deliberate. Instead of trying to match his technical display, she played a simple, soulful phrase that asked a musical question. Ray's eyebrows rose. His next 4 bars answered her question with one of his own, less showy than before, more engaged with what she'd played. They continued this way, finding a rhythm, an actual conversation emerging between their horns. The audience sensed it too, the mood in the venue shifting from anticipation of a slaughter to appreciation of an unexpected dialogue. Trading twos intensified the exchange. Ray played a phrase using a distinctive rhythm. Lily responded by mirroring that rhythm but changing the pitches. He played high. She played low. He played fast. She played slow. Each choice was deliberate, thoughtful, responding to what came before rather than trying to outdo it. By the time they moved to trading single bars, they were deep in a musical discussion that transcended the original purpose of the duel. Lily had forgotten her fear, forgotten the audience, forgotten everything except the joy of this musical conversation with a master. For his final bar, Ray played a perfect, crystalline high note, holding it beyond what seemed humanly possible. The crowd erupted in cheers, certain the duel was over. No way could this unknown young woman top that. But as the noise died down, Lily put her trumpet to her lips one last time. Instead of trying to match Ray's high note, she played a single pure middle C, held with such emotion, such perfect vibrato, such heartfelt intent that it cut through the massive venue like a laser. A different kind of cheer rose from the audience, not the rowdy appreciation of technical prowess, but the deeper response to genuine emotion. As her note faded, Ray was staring at her, his expression unreadable. Then, to everyone's surprise, he started laughing, not mockingly but with genuine delight. He stepped to the microphone. "Now that," he announced to the crowd, "is how you end a cutting contest. Ladies and gentlemen, Lily Park." The audience roared. Lily stood frozen, unable to process what had just happened. Had she won? Had she lost? Did it even matter? Ray leaned close to her ear, speaking without the microphone. "Stick around. We're not done yet." Lily barely had time to catch her breath before Ray was speaking into the microphone again. "You know, folks, we had this planned as a duel, a competition, but something else happened up here tonight." He glanced at Lily. "Sometimes music takes you places you didn't expect to go." The crowd quieted, sensing something unscripted was happening. "I'd like to invite Lily to stay on stage for the rest of the set. What do you say?" Ray turned to her. "One more song together?" Lily's eyes widened. This hadn't been part of the plan. The duel was supposed to be a brief novelty, a few minutes of entertainment before Ray continued with his regular show. Now he was inviting her to play with his band, some of the best musicians in the world, in front of thousands of people. She glanced toward the wings where Mr. Rivera stood watching. He gave her a single firm nod. "I'd love to," she said into the microphone, her voice steadier than she felt. The audience cheered as Ray conferred quickly with his band. The keyboard player adjusted his settings, the drummer counted off, and they launched into one of Ray's most famous compositions, a hauntingly beautiful ballad that had been featured in a major film and had become his signature piece. Ray took the first section, playing the melody with the soulful tone that had made him famous. Then he stepped back and nodded to Lily, giving her space center stage. For a moment, Lily froze. This wasn't like Autumn Leaves, a standard she'd played hundreds of times. This was Ray's own composition, his personal statement. What could she possibly add to it? Then she remembered Mr. Rivera's words. Don't try to copy him or outdo him. Have your own conversation. Lily raised her trumpet and began playing, not trying to imitate Ray's interpretation but offering her own response to it. Where his version had been introspective and melancholy, hers became hopeful, opening up the emotional palette of the piece in a new direction. The band picked up on it immediately, the keyboard player adding brighter chords, the bassist shifting his patterns to support her take on the melody. Lily felt something she'd never experienced before, the magic of high-level musicians adapting to her ideas in real time, elevating them, helping her express something that was uniquely hers. Ray watched from the side, nodding slowly, a genuine smile spreading across his face. When Lily finished her section, he stepped forward again, and they began trading phrases, not in the formal structure of the duel, but in an organic give and take, building the song together. By the final chorus, they were playing in harmony, their two trumpet voices blending perfectly above the band. As the last notes faded, the audience erupted in a standing ovation that seemed to shake the entire festival grounds. Ray threw an arm around Lily's shoulders and raised his trumpet high with his other hand. She did the same, breathless, dizzy with the unreality of the moment. Ladies and gentlemen, Ray announced, Lily Park. The cheers intensified. Lily spotted her parents in the crowd, her mother openly weeping, her father applauding with fierce pride. Next to them, the restaurant regulars and neighbors were jumping up and down, shouting her name. Thank you, she said into the microphone, the words feeling completely inadequate for what she was experiencing. As she moved to leave the stage, Ray caught her arm. Not so fast, he said, his voice lowered but still audible through the mic. I've got one more surprise for tonight. He turned back to the audience. As some of you know, I've been working on putting together a new project, a national tour focused on emerging voices in jazz, featuring young artists from different backgrounds who deserve to be heard. He glanced at Lily. And I think we just found our first featured performer, Elaine. Stared at him in shock as the crowd roared its approval. What do you say, Lily? Want to join us on tour? 10 cities, major venues, playing your own compositions alongside some of the best in the business? The microphone was in front of her. Thousands of eyes were on her, and Lily's mind went completely blank. Tour her own compositions? She hadn't even written any music since leaving Westridge. I don't know what to say, she stammered. Say yes. Someone shouted from the audience, followed by encouraging cheers. But as the initial shock wore off, Lily thought of her parents, the restaurant, their expectations. She couldn't just abandon them, not after everything they'd sacrificed. Can I think about it? She asked. If Ray was disappointed, he didn't show it. Of course. No pressure. Talk to my manager before you leave tonight. He addressed the crowd again. Let's hear it one more time for Lily Park. With a final wave, Lily walked off stage on shaky legs, the applause following her like a physical force. Mr. Rivera was waiting in the wings, his expression softer than she'd ever seen it. You did good, kid, he said simply. Real good. He asked me to go on tour with him, Lily said, still not quite believing it. I heard. Mr. Rivera nodded. Quite an opportunity. But my parents, the restaurant, one step at a time. Tonight you celebrate. Tomorrow you figure out the rest. He squeezed her shoulder. Your parents are waiting for you by the artist exit. Go see them. The next hour passed in a blur of congratulations, hugs, photos, and tears. Her parents beamed with pride. The restaurant regulars treated her like a celebrity. And even strangers stopped to ask for selfies with the girl who held her own against Ray Jones. As the crowd around her finally thinned, a woman in a sharp suit approached, handing Lily a business card. I'm Diane, Ray's manager. He asked me to give you the details about the tour. She passed over a folder as well. All the information is in here, dates, venues, compensation. It's a 3-month commitment starting in 6 weeks. Ray was serious about featuring your original composition, so you'd need to have at least 3 performance-ready pieces by the first show. Lily took the folder numbly. Thank you. I'll think about it. Don't think too long. We need an answer by next week. Diane's professional demeanor softened slightly. For what it's worth, Ray doesn't extend these invitations lightly. He was genuinely impressed. After Diane left, Lily found herself alone for the first time since stepping on stage. The festival was still going strong, but she needed a moment of quiet. She wandered to a secluded area behind the main stage, sitting on an equipment case and opening the folder. The tour schedule was incredible. New York, Chicago, Los Angeles, Boston, Atlanta, major venues in every city. The compensation made her eyes widen. It was more money than she'd make in a year at the restaurant. But 3 original compositions? Lily hadn't written anything since Professor Hammond had demolished her confidence at Westridge. The thought of composing again, of putting her own musical ideas out for judgment, made her stomach clench with anxiety. There you are. Her father's voice interrupted her thoughts. Lily looked up. Dad, sorry, I just needed a minute. He sat beside her, glancing at the open folder. So a tour. Yeah, she bit her lip. But I can't just leave you and Mom with the restaurant. We're already short-staffed and— Lily. Her father's voice was gentle but firm. The restaurant was our dream, not yours. She blinked at him in surprise. Your mother and we came to this country with nothing. We built the Golden Dragon from scratch because we had to survive, to give you a better life. He looked at her intently. Not so you could inherit our struggle, but so you could follow your own path. But all these years, you've been pushing me to take over, to be practical, to give up music because we were afraid. Her father sighed. We saw how hurt you were after Westridge. We thought we were protecting you from more disappointment. And yes, we needed your help. But tonight, he shook his head in wonder. Tonight we remembered what it feels like to see you truly alive. Tears filled Lily's eyes. I don't know if I can do this, Dad. Write my own music again, perform in those huge venues. What if I fail? Then you fail. Her father shrugged, echoing Mr. Rivera's words from days earlier. And you try again. That's life. What about the restaurant? We'll manage. Your cousin has been asking for more hours anyway. And Mom, what does she think? Her father laughed. She's already telling everyone her daughter is going on tour with Ray Jones. I think she's calling relatives in Korea right now. The weight that had been pressing on Lily's chest began to lift. So you think I should do it? I think you already know the answer. Her father stood. Come on. Your mother wants to take you for a late dinner to celebrate. Mr. Rivera is coming too. As they walked back through the festival grounds, Lily's phone buzzed with a text. Unknown number. Great playing tonight. The offer stands. Hope you'll join us, RJ. 6 weeks later, Lily stood in the wings of Lincoln Center in New York City, watching as Ray Jones introduced her to a sold-out crowd. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome a remarkable young talent I discovered in New Orleans. Playing her original composition, Autumn in B-flat minor, Lily Park. As she walked onto the stage, Lily caught sight of her parents in the front row who had flown in for opening night. Next to them sat Mr. Rivera, looking uncharacteristically approving. The journey from that first night at the Blue Note to this moment had been filled with intensive work. Daily sessions with Mr. Rivera, refining her original compositions. Late nights practicing with Ray's band via video calls, tearful moments of self-doubt, and breakthrough revelations. The piece she was about to play had been born from the Trumpet Duel, taking the standard Autumn Leaves and transforming it into something entirely her own, weaving in elements of traditional Korean music that honored her heritage. It was deeply personal, a musical conversation between where she came from and where she was going. Lily raised her trumpet, the stage lights gleaming off the instrument her parents had sacrificed to buy her all those years ago. As she began to play the opening phrase, she thought about the strange, wonderful sequence of events that had led to this moment. A chance encounter, a duel, a viral video, a leap of faith. The future was still uncertain. The tour might be the beginning of a brilliant career or a brief, shining moment before life took her in yet another unexpected direction. But tonight, as the rich sound of her trumpet filled the legendary venue, one thing was clear. Lily Park had found her voice, and she had something to say. 3 months later, as the tour was coming to an end, Ray invited Lily to his dressing room after their final show in San Francisco. I've been thinking, he said, leaning back in his chair. This tour was supposed to be about finding new voices, plural. But we only found you, Lily smiled. Are you complaining? Not at all. But it got me thinking about all the other talented musicians out there who just need a chance to be heard. He slid a document across the table to her. What do you think about this? Lily picked it up. It was a proposal for a new initiative. the New Voices Foundation that would provide grants, mentorship, and performance opportunities to emerging musicians from underserved communities. I want you to help run it, Ray said. You've got good instincts, Lily. You can spot talent, and more importantly, you know what it feels like to need a break. Lily stared at the proposal, her mind racing with possibilities. What about Mr. Rivera? He should be involved too, Ray laughed. Already asked him. The old grump said he'd do it, but only if you were on board. And I could still perform? Still work on my own music? That's the point. Everyone involved, mentors and students, keeps growing together. Ray leaned forward. So what do you say? Ready for a new challenge? Lily thought about the young version of herself, practicing trumpet in a restaurant storage room, dreams deferred but never quite extinguished. How many others were out there just like her, waiting for their moment? Yes, she said firmly. Let's do it. 1 year later, the New Voices initiative had transformed the careers of dozens of overlooked artists and changed how the industry discovered talent. And it had all started because a famous American artist had challenged a young woman to a trumpet duel, a challenge that had changed everything.